There is a practice in certain schools of Tibetan and Indian Buddhism that many modern seekers would find unthinkable, sitting quietly and imagining your own body decomposing, piece by piece. Skin bloats. Eyes melt. Insects arrive. Flesh blackens, then sloughs off in ribbons. The skeleton crumbles to dust. This is not horror for horror's sake. It is a sacred exercise, a meditation designed to shatter illusions, especially the illusion of permanence. Known as Charnel Ground Meditation, it is among the most direct and uncompromising paths to awakening. The term charnel ground refers to the open-air cremation and decay fields found across ancient India and Tibet, places where corpses were laid out to rot or be consumed by scavengers and fire. These were not just places of death, they were grounds of realization. Monks, yogis, and wandering ascetics would go to these fearsome places to meditate, confronting the raw, unfiltered truth of mortality. Far from being symbols of despair, the charnel grounds were charged with spiritual power. In their silence, stripped of illusion, something deeper emerged: clarity, humility, freedom. Modern corpse meditation, though rarely practiced outside of advanced lineages, follows this same principle. The practitioner visualizes their own body after death, not from a safe distance, but intimately and in stages. First, they imagine the lifeless body lying still. Then comes the swelling, the putrefaction, the feeding of worms, the breaking apart of tissues. The details are not spared: the stink, the bloating, the leaking fluids. The point is to confront the reality that the body, the one we identify with so tightly, is not ours to keep. It is a temporary arrangement of elements, and it will dissolve. The emotional impact of this practice can be powerful, even shocking. But that's precisely its purpose. In a world obsessed with youth, health, and bodily control, corpse meditation acts as a spiritual antidote. It pulls back the veil. It says, "You are not this form." The beauty, the pain, the shame, the pride, all of it revolves around a body that is already in the process of dying. To see this clearly, without flinching, is to release an enormous burden. The fear of death begins to loosen its grip. The desperate clinging to status and appearance starts to fade. And something unshakable begins to take root. But charnel ground meditation is not just about physical death. On a deeper level, it is a confrontation with ego, the fabricated self that thinks it can escape decay, control time, or carve out a permanent identity in an impermanent world. In tantric traditions, the charnel ground represents the psychological wasteland where the ego goes to die. All the parts of the self we hide or deny, the shadowy fears, desires, and delusions, rise up like spirits in this inner graveyard. The practice is not to fight them, but to see them clearly, recognize their transience, and let them go. Traditionally, this form of meditation was done in actual charnel grounds. Yogis would sit among bones and smoke, near half-burnt corpses or exposed remains. It was a test of courage, but also a profound accelerator of insight. Today, many practice it through visualization alone, guided by texts or teachers who understand its depth. Even imagined vividly, the effects can be profound. The practitioner may feel waves of revulsion, fear, sadness, or even liberation. These emotions are not obstacles, they are part of the process. Each one is another attachment rising and dissolving. Despite its grim aesthetic, corpse meditation is not morbid. It is an act of fierce compassion. To recognize death is to embrace life more fully. To see the body's impermanence is to free oneself from the frantic need to decorate, preserve, or defend it. To look death in the eye is to recognize what does not die, the awareness behind the eyes, the space between thoughts, the silent witness untouched by time. This is what the practice ultimately reveals. When all else has rotted away, what remains is not nothing, it is openness. It is stillness. It is that which is beyond death. Such teachings are not for everyone. They require a readiness, a willingness to go into uncomfortable places of the psyche. But for those who dare, charnel ground meditation can be a gateway. A kind of death that leads to deeper life, A stripping away of masks until only truth is left. Not the glamorous, comfortable truth of philosophy, but the raw, visceral truth that we are dying creatures, flashes of consciousness in temporary forms. And that, far from being a cause for despair, is the door to awakening. To die before you die is the secret of the sages. And in this practice, silent, solemn, unflinching, you get to do just that. You sit with your own corpse. You feel the decay. And if you stay long enough, something luminous begins to shine through the bones. Not fear. Not horror. But freedom.